Hey guys, it's Rodimus Primal. I am back with another video, and today, oh boy, am I ready to, I don't know whether or not I want to pour some acid in my eyes, or if I just want to scream, because I just got done rewatching the first two episodes of Thundercats Roar. I've got a lot to talk about, so get prepared for this. So sit back, relax, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, and let's transform and roll out. Okay, so I grew up watching the original Thundercats cartoon when I was a kid. It came out around the same time, of course, as He-Man and Transformers and G.I. Joe and Ninja Turtles. It was all around on the same time. And the show took itself seriously. And what was awesome about the show was that it was written in a way that the story was told, was important. There was humor when there needed to be humor. The action was amazing. And the animation was spectacular. In fact, it was done by a Japanese animation studio, and a lot of the animators of the original show went off to go work for Studio Ghibli. It's an anime-styled cartoon, Western-produced cartoon, and it was an amazing cartoon. It ran for 4 seasons, and for like 130 something episodes. And the show ended, of course, and it was well loved. It was brought back in the 90s, like the late 90s when Toonami first started, and to some people in the late 90s, that was their first exposure to Thundercats. And then, of course, fast forward to 2011. When a new cartoon done in an anime style, with Will Friedle was voicing voicing Lion-O in that cartoon, and the cartoon ran for 26 episodes. But Cartoon Network, in their corporate meddling BS, decided that the time slot for the cartoon was making it too popular, so they kept switching the time slot around and moving it around all over the place, and nobody was able to watch it, not because of anything else, but because nobody could figure out when the show was supposed to air a new episode. And so how do you make a show have have good ratings if you can't give it a consistent time slot for people to watch? So Cartoon Network themselves killed the 2011 cartoon. Now here's something that's interesting. If you go back in time and you go search for the Facebook post by the creator, I think it was Dan Horton, I think was his name, they said that they had approved for a second season for another 26 episodes, and then they were writing the first 6 episodes already when Cartoon Network decided, you know what, this show is too expensive to make, right? This show is way too expensive to make. People really love it, and we don't want a cartoon that's that expensive to make and people to really enjoy it, because then we would have to make more episodes. No, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to kill it. And that's what they did. They killed the show. And some people really liked the 2011 reboot. Some people didn't. I understand. There was some liberties taken, but the show at the same time took itself seriously. Song of the Peddlers is one of my favorite episodes. That episode alone should have granted that show like an Emmy or something, because that episode had so much emotion. And so both shows of Thundercats were well received by a majority of fans. It's just that Cartoon Network killed it. So fast forward now to 2018, back in June, and we get to see a first glimpse of this new Thundercats Roar, and pretty much everybody flipped out. Now, if you know anything about the animator and the head producer of the show, Victor Courtwright, this guy right here, he said he claims he's a Thundercats fan. Well, his idea of the way that Thundercats should be is that we don't need to take the show seriously. It needs to be a complete, not even a spin-off, but a caricature that makes fun of the original show. And that's what this show is. Thundercats Roar is animated in this like super chibi deformed, like weird psychotic, like I can draw 10 times better than this guy ever could. Like, oh my god, it is horrible. Like, the animation is like I have a hard time looking at it. Every time I'm on screen, I'm watching the episode. You know, it seems like it seems like this guy could draw a lot better, but he chooses not to. He chooses to draw a cartoon that looks like super deformed, and it's almost like take Adventure Time and put and have somebody on acid like drawing it. That's how bad this show is animated. And the humor, the jokes are not funny. None of the jokes are funny. This show is terrible. It's god awful. It is one of the worst cartoons I have ever seen in my life. It's only 2 episodes you can watch right now on CartoonNetwork.com. And after watching it, I was just like, the only good redeeming quality I could say about the show was that they use the original music. They use a lot of the soundtrack from the original cartoon in the show, and you're like, okay, I can get behind the music, but the show's animated terribly. The characters are terrible. Lion-O is not. Oh, this is what drove me nuts. Lion-O in the original show was a 13-year-old boy who was told, you're supposed to be Lord of the Thundercats. You are granted this mysticism and this magic, and you're supposed to take the responsibility of the show. I mean, take the responsibility of the you know, the cast of the characters, and you're supposed to do all these things. And what ends up happening is that Jaga pilots the ship, knowing that he's not going to survive the track. So they're on the ship, and they put everybody in suspended animation, and Jaga pilots the ship, and he sacrifices himself to save the rest of the Thundercats. And instead, in this new show, they make him a joke. Ooh, I'm a ghost. Oh, really? That's not funny. Jaga had this self-sacrifice that just was great. And then when Lion-O comes out, he's now an adult. He's like a 26-something-year-old, you know, kid. You know, he spent 10 Galacto years. I think that's what they said in the original cartoon. And now he's an adult, but he's still a 13-year-old boy in a man's body. And he has to adjust to the fact that he's, like, much bigger and stronger. And as Chitara says, much more attractive, too. And this show, like the way that Lion-O had to do it in the original show was he had to, learn to be a man, learn to be a leader, learn from his fellow Thundercats how to do things properly. This new Lion-O is beyond irresponsible. They're like, oh, I'm gonna go slashy slash with my sword, ha ha! And then they turn Snarf into a freaking robot. Like, I'm not even kidding you. They turned Snarf into a robot. They're sitting there going off and saying that this is the best Snarf. Are you out of your mind? You turn Snarf into a robot. He coughs up a hairball, and it's the claw, with the grappling hook. Yeah, that's right. They turned Snarf into a freaking robot. The show is animated so bad. Oh my God, I can't stand watching it. And Mumm-Ra. He's like this huge, 80-foot tall, bad guy. In the original show, he transformed. He does the whole ancient spirits of evil transform this decayed form to Mumm-Ra, the ever-living. He doesn't even do that in the new show. Now you could sit there and say what I just did was corny. But let me tell you something. It was taken with all seriousness in the original show. In the new show, he's a joke. He's a joke of a villain. He's like sitting on the front, because he's so big, he's sitting on Cat's lair as if it's like a lawn chair. And, he has a staff that, if any of the Burbills say his name, they go, Mumm-Ra, they get zapped by lightning. Now, they had the Burbills in there, and the Burbills were kind of cute. That's probably one good thing I could say about the cartoon, because everybody loves the Burbills. But oh my God, this show is so bad. It is so bad. It's terrible. It's awful. And I've seen articles, all right, after watching the show, where this one person said, oh, it's not that bad. The original show was animated poorly. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you telling me that the original show was animated poorly? And you're going to sit there and tell me that the same animators who animated the original Thundercats and did it by hand, let me keep on saying that. By hand. They drew the original cartoon by hand. They didn't have computers. They drew 65 episodes for that first season. That first season was 65 episodes long, and they drew it within a year. It's a grueling schedule to have to draw that many episodes and do it in and did it that well. And it was done like it was beyond anything anybody had ever seen at that point, and everyone loved the original show. And you watch this new show, and you get what the episodes are 10 minutes long. Why? Because Cartoon Network doesn't want to spend money on animators to actually make it look any good. They wanted to make it look like completely god-awful cartoony. They want to get a guy who's got a ponytail on the top of his head to make this show look like the most atrocious thing on the planet. And you want to tell me the original show was animated poorly? Come on. Ugh. And the 2011 show, that show was animated really well too. That show was a fantastic reboot. They could have continued. They could have made another 26 episodes and made that show so much better. You know, made a second season. They could have kept on going with that. No. Instead, what they do is they give us this. It's garbage. It's hot garbage. It's one of the worst reboots I have ever seen. It makes The Last Jedi look good. Let me say something to you. People will sit there and go, okay, well, you don't like the style of animation. You're going to sit there and say, like, another show. Let me go back and look at some of the other shows. Transformers Animated, okay? That show with the big chins and everything else like that, the show was written well. It took itself seriously when it needed to take itself seriously. It took itself, it had humor when it needed humor, and it was a really good Transformers cartoon. Let's take another cartoon where they completely stylized and did a really good job of it. The original Teen Titans. That's right. The original Teen Titans is the characters look very stylized and completely different than what they do in the actual DC comics. And here Teen Titans is done. Everybody loved that show, right? It went 5 seasons, and everybody hated the fact that the original show ended, and then they do Teen Titans Go, and everybody's like, this is like, weird, but it's a spin-off. Teen Titans Go, it's known that it's a spin-off, and they're even talking about going back to do the original Teen Titans because of the popularity of Teen Titans Go. But this new Thundercats, this is a spit on the face. Every single character is a joke. And what really made me mad was the way that they treated Tigra. Tigra was one of my favorite characters in the original show because he was a man's man, as the original voice actor even has stated before. That was one of the things that stood out to me about Tigra. I loved his character in the original show. This new Tigra is an insult. Every single moment with Tigra on screen is somehow he gets knocked to the ground, something happens to him, he gets whacked around, he falls off a cliff, Cheetara has to save him. They make Tigra out to be a joke. Wily Kit and Wily Cat, like they're not even, they don't even take those two seriously. I mean, granted, those two were little kids. But man, and Cheetara, like Cheetara is like, oh, I'm the coolest Thundercat. Like, no, Cheetara earned her position as one of the coolest Thundercats in the original show. This new Cheetara, no, she doesn't earn it. And Panthro, everybody, you almost forget about Panthro in this new show. Except for the fact, like, oh, don't break my stuff. Really? The original Panthro was he was awesome. I remember his original action figure, the nunchucks that had the claws and everything. And I remember how cool it was that the cat claws were at the end of each of them. And they kind of do something neat with the claws, growing, being much larger in the new show. But God, I mean, the animation, you almost forget about Panthro because of this new show. And man, I literally, I can't take it. Like, it's just so bad. It was so bad that after watching it, I was like, I have to break out the original show, and I needed to go back and watch the original episode titled Exodus and the second episode that, pretty much that this is following that same storyline, but bastardizing it in 100 different ways. After watching the original show, first of all, I really hate Thundercats Roar, after watching the original show and seeing how well the animation holds up, I turn around and go, like, how can people accept this new Thundercats cartoon? It's not even like a different animation style. If you want to create your own action adventure shows based upon that animation style, go for it. But don't do it to Thundercats. Bring back the 2011 Thundercats or re-air the original and let people see how good the original show is. Or, in fact, actually, the complete original series is out on DVD right now. You can go and for like $35, go to like on Target.com, or like I think it's like $40 on Amazon, and go buy the original Thundercats cartoon. In fact, I'm actually going to leave a link, an affiliate link on there, because it's not even for anything else, for you to go buy the original Thundercats cartoon and go see for yourself how good the original show was and why Thundercats Roar is one of the worst reboots I've ever seen in my life. I'm telling you, don't even go bother watching Thundercats Roar. It's that bad. It's just a terrible cartoon. But I wonder what you think. Have you seen this new show? If you've seen it, let me know in the comments. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I've got some more stuff coming down on this channel, as well as my main channel for Transformers. So stay tuned for all that. And as always, until next time, till all are one.